This is David Wheaton. The following is a short take from the Christian Worldview radio program. You can hear the full program at thechristianworldview.org. So Soeren, tell us about the Abraham Accords and what the status of that is now that Trump has made this trip to the Middle East.
I think the Abraham Accords are Trump's signature foreign policy issue. He's really wanted Saudi Arabia to normalize relationship with Israel, and the Saudis are not ready. And the Saudis have repeatedly said that they won't have any normalization with Israel unless there's the establishment of a Palestinian state. And so I think that Trump was probably hoping to get some kind of a movement from the Saudis during this trip to the Middle East. That didn't happen. You mentioned in the earlier segment that President Trump's sons traveled extensively in the Middle East before President Trump's visit. And that's very normal. There are a lot of moving parts, a lot of negotiations behind the scenes. Just stepping back for a second, the Abraham Accords, I think in general, are a very positive development because they do have Morocco, United Arab Emirates, and some other Arab states who are saying, hey, look, Israel, it's been in the land for almost 80 years. It's a part of the Middle East. It's not going away. Let's normalize the relationships. Let's do some business deals. Let's just normalize the relationship. Well, one of the parts about the Abraham Accords that's not talked about a lot is that all these concessions that the Arab states are making to join these Abraham Accords, the other part of the equation is that there has to be a Palestinian state. And Jerusalem is going to be split between an Arab section or a Muslim section and a Jewish section, and a Palestinian state, two-state solution. I personally, looking at this from a prophetic perspective, I think why there were so many problems with the election in 2020 and why President Trump was out of office for 4 years is because he was going to move on the Abraham Accords during a second term. And that really meant establishing a Palestinian state. And it's very possible that the Lord intervened to make that impossible because they were just moving too fast. What I'm trying to explain, I guess, is that there's pros and cons to the Abraham Accords. And Joel 3, verse 2, it's a prophecy in the Old Testament. It's very clear that at some point, the Gentile nations do split the land of Israel. They force Israel to split the land. And God's judgment is going to come down on the Gentile nations for that act. And so when we're talking about these Abraham Accords and this normalization with Israel, it's not just in the here and now. We're talking about prophetic implications. And God really does care about the land of Israel, the integrity of that land. And to the extent that Gentile nations, particularly the United States, try to force Israel to split the land and create a Palestinian state, that is basically going to provoke a reaction from Almighty God.
This has been a short take from the Christian Worldview radio program. To hear the full program and connect with this nonprofit radio ministry, go to thechristianworldview.org. I'm David Wheaton.